The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked. Probably left open for when Wright asks for some midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCullough up. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. Well, I would think so. It's midnight. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late-night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Mr. Wright won't touch anything to do with the menial chores. Not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants. No anyone. And just as easy as that, we're in. Gently, I close the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. They're great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that lasts only but a second. Suddenly a sob, ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and breathing heavily, McCullough immediately tenses. Her eyes go wide, and she grips the side of the counter with a force that might be enough to crack it, if only she has the strength. As it is, she can barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food and water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah? We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCullough still appears if she's about to argue. So, instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. A standard issue for every member of Luxburn Police Force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. Even Isabella may just be able to use it without training. Yet, Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as if I've just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
She's lost track of time. How does she know what 15 minutes is?
I'm sure there's like a watch she has or a clock or something.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you!
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this. Really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCullough seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest has already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. I keep to the shadows for the most part. Not that there's any need to. The entire place just feels empty. Odd when a house this big should have a large staff. You'd think there'll be one or two roaming about for some late-night chores, or someone seeking out whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
Unless their security means the butler, then, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Oh, what the... Probably more than his own wife. And the things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who will do anything to keep himself safe. Alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. Sure, I could have enlisted McCullough's help. Next to the people who owns this, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons of bringing her outweigh the pros. She's better off somewhere, a quick exit's in sight. With no tag-along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
But necessary.
In the same manner this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple. Almost mirrored with only a few modifications in the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I already have a good grasp of the place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main foyer should be the next thing that greets me, where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, not even sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. But with the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any of its inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of this is my training speaking.
I just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
But nothing's ever that simple, is it? Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet crosses to the next room, something shifts. Ah. It's bloody.
I can't tell if it's fake or real.
Don't know. In a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye. I almost miss it. One moment there's red. In the next,
Yep.
I'm standing alone in the foyer. For a brief instant, I pause, glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice, as if my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none down the stairs or pooled on the floor, no eyes watching my every moment. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, along with a voice.
Mother.
Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. The place is not entirely empty then. A better question now is, who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see hide nor hair of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on the edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Maybe the wife? Though one can't really tell if it's her, the way the walls echo her voice. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move, taking almost 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass. As if the house has several eyes watching my every movement. As if something alive dwells behind the walls itself.
That's real blood.
Hi. I try to shake it off, but the uneasy sensation has already made home at the pit of my stomach. Dread. And it only grows deeper the closer I get to her. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows, nor the sheets of rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for Scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far down that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replacing it with,
Mother, please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother. Mother, I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
That can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no 2 heartbeats, my feet's already moving, before any sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hands ready at the holster as I hastily set off for the far side of the hall. One alarmed footstep after another, while struggling to keep that sense of panic at bay. A door lies ajar at the end and coming from the floor above.
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate. Moving in, despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up with my every step. I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. Then, without wasting a second, I push the door open. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. It's as if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door, continuing, undisturbed, like I'm standing in a time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Mother, I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Belatedly, I notice the blood on her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? It's bad news, alright, but this? This is beneath him. He'll definitely balk at first sight of it. Anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoved by the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she's left on the floor? Just what the heck is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
The rest of that question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware and on guard, really. But there's little I can do when a well-placed blow to the back of my knees makes me stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. It barely even registers in my head that the woman's gone and the room's as normal as it can be. Not above the pain suddenly shooting up my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get a chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and land heavily on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun. Although, before I'm able to turn, level it, and shoot, a hand grabs my wrist and twists it. Hard. A gasp. A grunt. A cry of pain slips past my mouth. The gun falls to the floor with a thunk. As soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach and slides it uselessly under the bed. Agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain, and stars fill the edges of my vision. A brief moment of regret hits me for leaving my taser with McCullough when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls tight. I'm left gasping, choking, and clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I still try to fight him off and loosen the pressure on my neck. Except any sort of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My, so many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
Writes Butler. Crap.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah Wright?
Let go, you asshole.
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude. Last time I checked, I'm not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my already sore body. Still, I manage to ride it out and spit a mutinous...
You. Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney. I assure you it will be more painful than this.
He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. Ever so slowly, the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me, and without meaning to.
Get away from him!
Hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice-cold water. Familiar. Too familiar. And more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. Immediately, my eyes snap open. And right there, right on the attic's doorway, stands Isabella of all people. A rolling pin on one hand and a standard issue police taser on the other. My taser. She must have borrowed it from McCullough. Where else could she have gotten one? I doubt she has ever used one even. Heck, the way she holds it right now, this guy can easily disarm her in one hit. But there's something in her eyes. Although there's a look of fear in them and her hand shakes, she keeps the weapon trained and pointed at Scumbag's lackey. Untrained or not, she does not plan to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems. Admirable, really. But it's just not something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. I need her safe. But the chances of that happening grow slim with every laughter that slips from her.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The Bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know. Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
Dang it. What the crap is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow after me? Who else came with her? Zach? Panic surges within me. She knows how bad the situation is. But does she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Does she even know how to use a taser? For crap's sake, more than worrying for my life, it's her I'm concerned about. Getting strangled, dying by choking isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. This is why I prefer to do things alone. This is why I'd rather be the only one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think what this person might do to her after he's done with me. Though my voice comes off nearly a croak, I try to tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay far away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella! Get out of here!
Don't say her name.
I don't like it matters. Another bout of pain erupts in my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Get out! 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 Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
He laughs, too cruel, too unforgiving. The way each note beats against my ears, in spite of the warmth in them, sends chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
There's a moment of silence. I can barely keep my eyes open. But in the next second, though, I still don't exactly understand what's happening, Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain. Late bloomer, okay? Not a yell of panic, but one that's resolute. Firm. Perhaps in a tone that's leagues fiercer than any I've heard from her before.
Try me! Ashton, duck!
I do. More out of instinct and desire to survive, closing my eyes before my mind can fully process what's going on. It all happens in a blur. The telltale sound of a taser being discharged resounds through the room. The air crackles. Something whizzes by, almost too close to my ear, followed by the thud of something blunt connecting solidly with another object. The next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. From my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and sound slowly filtering back, the butler buckles. He spasms once. Then, without much fuss, falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by 50,000 volts of electricity and a fricking rolling pin. He'll be out for a while. I have no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, also breathing heavily. Right next to her, trembling hands, both the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten, while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of the tension lifting. For countless seconds, we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline ebb away and both our breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but a simple but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in imminent danger. We still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleetingly somewhere, white and piercing, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. I stir first, once recovered, having regained some semblance of sense and strength. Breathing still hurts, but it's bearable, as is moving. Although every small motion causes a wince, there will be bruising tomorrow, I can imagine. Retrieving my gun from under the bed is easy, but only with some effort. I am able to drag an unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of a handcuff on his wrist while fastening the other on the bed frame. That should keep him restrained for a few hours in case he wakes up prematurely. All through this, Isabella stays quiet. In fact, she hasn't even moved since. Her hands still shake and taking in long draws of breath while she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't even expecting any result, spurred only by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. Unfortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
Belle, we need to go. You can't stay here.
Slowly she turns, staring at me with wide eyes. Worry flickers briefly in them, along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me right across the face. The sound of it cracks in the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. Despite the familiar rumble of thunder outside, it manages to ring louder above the storm. I don't even know what hit me, until my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with her anger. It is anger. In spite of the stillness and the lack of words afterwards. Not fuming, though. Never fuming. But the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly. A frustration instead of seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows. And once the tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes. Warm, steadfast, and unflinching. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. Slips from her lips softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
Belle.
If Zach didn't slip up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and...
You almost died! He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died.
I told Zach to give me 4 hours. That would have been enough time to...
It would have been too late! And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer!
She trails off, drags one in-drawn breath after another. A brief lull as her frustration finally gives, dissolves into something more pensive and somber. Her shoulders droop, and though her voice rises, hoarse and weary, in her next words, there's only certainty.
You count too, you know? When I said that night, when I told you that I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you. Alive. We're still here, Ash. You have us.
And once their meaning fall, roar, It does so not with force of a dam breaking or a raging storm, but with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning, an ember easing slowly, lightly, rising and giving, until all that's left is a truth, an understanding, not alone, never alone. It lingers, even as we both drift back into silence and her words take root, because in the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming, pleasant, welcoming, like finding home, like finding ourselves in the haze a squall has left, creating something fragile yet immutable in both of us. It's in her eyes, in the way she holds my gaze, unwavering, in the way she carries herself despite sitting amidst a place she fears, in the way she keeps herself from trembling and falling apart because fear is inconsequential when people she cares about are at risk. A change. She realizes that now, holds on to it. Another little thing, another small thing from her that may go unnoticed and pass by quietly, but will eventually amount to a lot of things. Tiny gestures that mean nothing at first, but began to matter to me one day until... Oh. Despite myself, a small smile slips from my lips as the same warmth from her earlier unfurls in my chest. Unhurried, familiar, and bright from all these years I've carried it, but have never given the words for it.
Stop smiling like that, Ashton! I'm not done scolding you!
But this time they come easy.
I heard all of it. Don't worry.
Are you really okay? That guy hit you a little too hard on the head. Here, let me...
I reach up just as she extends a hand towards my face, catching her wrist in a light grip, drawing it closer and folding her hand in between mine. Although her expression does shift into mild confusion, she does not pull away like I'm expecting. She simply stares at me, searching. For her to allow a gesture from me that's perhaps too close, it tells a lot how far things have already shifted in the past few years. Cradled in mine, her hand still trembles. Most of the tremors has already subsided by now, though I doubt it'll fade away this soon. Even as I trace the lines of her palm, in what I hope is a comforting gesture.
I'm sorry, Belle.
For what? Is this about what happened tonight? You can apologize later, when...
No, well, this too, but it's not just about this.
It's for a lot of things. For calling you clumsy, and careless, and a scatterbrain.
Are you sure this isn't a concussion?
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't usually apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too. For all the times I've teased you and made you cry.
Unexpectedly, her fingers straighten around mine, our hands falling between us as something tender shifts in air. Another exhale. Another drawn breath eases out of me, filled with every hesitation and uncertainties. But when I finally choose to break silence, it's only when I know that what will slip past my mouth is that one truth I will hold against the world.
But for all those callous words, despite all those, there's nothing that I don't love about you. In fact, those things, I love those. And everything that's you.
For a long moment, she offers no response. Her grip on my hands merely tightens. Although my heart's pounding hard against my ears, I take a chance and look up, slightly leaning away and giving her a cautious glance, more than ready to hear her rejection. It is one, despite the smile on her face. If it can even be called one, of course. There's a pained aspect to it I can hardly name. regardless of what it means to her or what she intends to convey with it. The sight of it alone makes me regret ever mentioning anything. It's almost as if she's forcing herself to push out the next words out of her mouth for the sake of not hurting me. Not that I won't be able to take it, but if these feelings will only put a heavier burden on her, I'd rather not have said anything at all. As expected, with one last squeeze at the hand cradling hers, she pulls her hand away from mine. When she speaks, though, there's a stark refusal to meet my eyes. Not that I hold it against her. The situation's already awkward as it is.
Ash!
She pauses, biting her lower lip. A small frown forms between her eyebrows while she struggles to find the right phrases to string together.
Ashton, I'm really sorry.
Oh, no, it's cool. I was already expecting that. Kind of. But you don't have to...
No, I mean, I can't. I can't afford to think of anything other than helping my family. Especially now that Papa's gone. They're going to need me more than ever, Ash. I'm sorry. I really can't. Not right now.
I've always known it would lead to this, to some extent. Her family will her family will always come first. Who am I to take that from her? It hurts, of course, but the pain eases knowing that in spite of circumstances, her heart will always be in the right place. That she's still the same woman I've fallen in love with.
It's all right, Belle. Don't apologize. If it still matters, that's actually what I love about you. Of course, not that I'm expecting anything by telling you that, but you get the point. Yeah.
Thanks, Ash. I mean, thank you for loving me. Even after everything.
Her response is a smile and a soft laughter. Perhaps the sweetest I've seen and heard from her. Just from it, I know nothing will change despite her answer, and any lingering feelings that will come from this. And there will be. Lingering feelings, that is. With the way she barged into our lives 5 years ago, it'll probably be enough to leave a terrible impression on anyone. But that's also precisely it. It's people like her that you don't easily forget. It's them that gradually worms their way into a person's life, until the very thought of losing them becomes unbearable. As it is, I'm already content simply staying by her. No grand expectations or hopes attached. Just the banter, the small smiles, and the quiet little moments that roar. I love her. But that also isn't all there is to us.
I know I caused you all kinds of trouble these past few years.
Hey, whoever told you I'm doing this for free? After we're done with this curse thing, you're gonna owe me a year's supply of ice cream.
Yeah, we'll see.
Another laughter, this time from both of us. She then hits my arm with a light punch. Familiar, warm, bright and hopeful, much like everything about her. And it is strength enough to keep me going as I lead us both out.
Surprised they even get out.
Power still hasn't come back when we make our way downstairs. Tricky, considering the stairs to the attic are a bit old. One misstep and anyone might end up slipping and falling. You're lucky if that's all that'll happen to you. With the stairs this steep, a broken neck is a likely outcome. Thankfully, Isabella's here to guide me through the darkness. She knows this place better than anyone, after all. In spite of all the misfortunes... In spite of all the misfortunes it has brought us.
Careful, the floorboards over there aren't very sturdy.
Right on cue, the same board I'm stepping on creaks and breaks. The pieces falling somewhere with a dull thump.
Oh shit. Scumbag wouldn't be too happy about that. Ow, my foot.
See? I told you so. You never listen to me.
They renovated the whole mansion. They can't even replace one tiny part of the house.
Why don't you file a complaint to BRC then? I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear it. You know it was such a rush job.
Outside, the winds have intensified. Even from here, I can hear the gusts battering the window in the attic. It makes you wonder why, up until now, the only person we've encountered from this house is the butler. Although, to some degree, that makes sense. He is in charge of running the place. Where are the other servants, though? In this storm, wouldn't anyone want to stay inside? A likely assumption is they're all asleep. The route I've taken doesn't really pass by the rooms they've likely assigned as the servants' quarters. However, they have also heightened security. I brushed it off earlier, thinking they'll be posted a lot closer to where the master's rooms are. But the second floor is devoid of anyone as well. As if every inhabitant of this place has suddenly disappeared overnight. More importantly, where's that scumbag? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The fact that we're here, right in the frickin' middle of it, makes me all the more queasy. And that feeling only escalates once we reach the landing and Isabella swings the door open. She pauses abruptly right in the doorway that I almost run into her. A look of confusion's in her as she looks wildly around the place, wordlessly taking in her surroundings. With each turn and shift of her eyes, her shoulder only grew tenser, and the look of apprehension slowly dawns on her.
Isabella, what are you...
We aren't supposed to be here.
Sure enough, when I look up, we're standing right in the kitchen. Pots, pans, and all. In the corner, Zach watches almost as surprised to see us. McCullough's also with him. Of course, she didn't listen to me, even if I've already exceeded the 15 minutes we've agreed on. Although color and strength seem to have already returned to her, enough for her to be able to stand unassisted. The empty plate on the counter appears to have played a part on that. Good news, I guess. As for the other one, however, relieved as I am that he has had the sense to wait and not venture deeper into the mansion, I can't keep but roll my eyes at him.
Zach, I said 4 hours.
I know, but Isabella asked and... Come on, bro, you know I ain't a very good liar.
And it didn't even occur to you to stop her?
I tried, all right? Even G. She was out the door before I could say anything.
And how did you guys even get in here?
Both of them exchange a look, one that I absolutely don't like. In the end, it's Isabella who speaks up, albeit with a bit of hesitation.
We heard someone scream, Ash. It led us here.
Without warning, the door behind us slams
We need
shut.
to get out of here.
Screw right. I need to get these people out of here. Lucky we're in the kitchen and we have 2 ways out. The back door and the cellar offers. Except the hatch won't budge when I pull at it. Neither does the back door. As if something has locked it firmly on the other side. Zach also gives it a few tries, but even with the big guy's strength, it won't open. There's a long bout of silence in which we all simply look at each other, likely sharing the same thoughts.
We're trapped.
We're trapped. Something or someone has intentionally led us here.
Crap.
Crap. In that same moment, once realization dawns in, something shifts again. Blood. In every nook and cranny, over every surface, and in every inch of the floor. This time, unlike the first one I've seen, it remains, and gradually the whole room begins to reek of that familiar metallic scent. Sharp. Suffocating. Around us, every object, including the cupboards, has started to rattle as well. The sounds from outside, foreboding rumble of thunder, and even the howling winds have begun to fade away, replaced by whispers, shouts, and cries of pain. Though inaudible, each beat and note bombards every crevice my head with vague images and sounds. There's no time to make sense of everything, however. I'm already shouting, fueled purely by adrenaline, barking orders and making a break for the door that leads to the next room, the dining. It should take us straight to the foyer, where the main door is.
Move! Run!
Right in front of us, the mansion has started to change, and we're in the thick of it. However, instead of the dining room, like it's supposed to open to, the bedroom welcomes us instead. An image that only lasts a second, but before blood begins to seep into the room. Filtering into the walls, trickling from every nook and cranny, everywhere. Furniture shakes and every beam rattles. Before we can even step back from the horror gradually unfolding in front of us, the door slams shut. A loud thud bringing a sense of dread and chill creeping up in each of us. Along with it is another realization. The whole place is reordering itself. And with the door closed tight behind us, showing no signs of budging, even through sheer force, there's no choice but to go forward and hope to gods that it'll lead us to an exit. Until then, running's the only thing we can do, spurred by nothing but fear and a sense of desperation to live.
It's useless, Ashton Frey.
But with each room we pass, it only becomes apparent that the house has no intention of letting us leave. It lured us all here, and we've fallen for it. Now it's playing a little game with us, a sordid form of amusement. For whom? Their laughters are the only thing we can hear. With every hall we cross and door we slide open, the hope of finding an exit merely dwindles. The gun at my hip is useless here. I am useless here. Some frickin' genius I am. Some frickin' person to trust I am. All those, they mean nothing in the face of the unknown.
You finally figured it out. Huh, Ashton Frey. Just give it up. I will eventually die because of you.
And you are going to die alone!
Shut your fucking mouth!
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
The more gruesome the place turns, the bleaker our chances simply get. Wails and screams fill our ears as we pass by. Words from a time and people long gone, laced with nothing but pure agony, calling out, reaching out to us. Their voice is almost too real, as if we're not the only ones trapped here. That there are others begging for release from this wretched place. Or maybe it's all just a show? A taste of what we will eventually be? Souls forever held captive in a never-ending nightmare?
Mother, I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Is this what the curse is? What it means for all of us? That the letter, not a morbid cry for help, but an invitation? A beckoning for unsuspecting souls to be dragged into this place's horrors? To be put under centuries and centuries of torment and agony? Suddenly dying a painful death seems preferable, enticing than ending up here, living a tortured existence. Or perhaps it's all the same? Still, hope worms its way into me. Not a usual thing for someone like me. But after going through countless doors and corridors, every little sign of hope I'm willing to cling to. As long as it'll get us out of here. We're back in the dining room again. How long have we been running? How long since we've left the kitchen? At some point, I've lost track of time. With the windows barred tight and the sounds lifting in the air, nothing but shouts and shrieks, it's impossible to tell. Not that it matters when an end is in sight. Shelves and furnishings bar the door, each stained with blood and gore, that if the situation isn't as desperate as it is, I'll find a different way out. But there's still a gap left at the topmost part for a person to go through, as long as you use the shelves to climb.
It's next it all right.
From here, I can spy the familiar walls of the foyer. Relief. Only relief washes me. Although my legs have been strained taut by all that running, and every bone and muscle in my body ache, there's only an easing. A sense of tension relieving while energy backflows through me again at the sight of an end. No sooner, I'm leading us out of it. Zach helps McCullough first, assisting her up and through the gap before giving a hand to Isabella. The moment the ladies are in, I nod for him to go through.
Go ahead. I'll watch your back.
Surprisingly, he does that with any protests. Not that there's any need to. Sometime after entering this room, the whole place has calmed down. No wails, no whispers, just a silence too deafening. But I'm not letting my guard down until everyone's on the other side of this nightmare. Safe. For all I know, this may just be a calm before another storm. Without another incident, however, Zach makes it to the other side and I'm following after him. However odd this hush is, I turn my back from it and climb up. It's a tight fit, but I manage to squeeze myself in. The unease remains, though. Maybe it's the adrenaline still coursing through me, or how easy everything has been after living through that nightmare, fleeting as it is. But for some reason, something's still nagging at me. Call it a detective's instinct, or my training, or whatnot. I have a feeling something's going to happen and catch us unprepared. Unconsciously, before dropping down on the better side of the stream, my hand shifts to the gun at my hip. Instinct has never failed me before. My feet haven't even landed firmly on the floor when...
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
A chill seeps into every vein in my body. All of a sudden, every ache, every pain returns to me tenfold, and my knees threaten to buckle at the sound of his voice. Though it appears friendly, I know it is anything but. One does not spend investigating a man like him for over a year and holding a grudge against him for more without knowing everything about him. His quirks, his habits, I'm familiar with all of them. And right now, Luke frickin' Wright is beyond pissed. Shifting my gaze upwards is nearly too painful, knowing the danger. Not to me, but to those who have been lured in here by the curse. The handgun catches my eyes first, next to that smarmy smile on his face while he holds McCullough, Zach, and Isabella at gunpoint. It's sight, enough to lodge a painful thorn up on my throat. I've been too complacent, too focused on other things that I've completely set aside the fact that scumbag will not be too pleased to see us here without knowing our reasons. But even with those good intentions, curses and ghostly apparitions aside, we're still trespassing in his home. The question is, if he's even aware that the whole of his house has somehow disappeared, and he might be the only one here. Likely not. Crap. Even with people he knows among the crowd, there's a significant effort in him not to simply shoot everyone in sight.
And really, Lily, even you.
Sir, this isn't what you're thinking. Something's going on in this mansion.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is? Oh, we're doing good, by the way.
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman. Can't say the same for the rest of you. But really now, I swear the people of this city need to be taught the meaning of privacy. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
Casually, he waves the handgun at them as if it's a mere toy, and his words are no threat. The safety's off on his. Nothing stopping him from pushing through with his words. Call me paranoid, but at the slight gesture, I draw my own and level it at him. Finger on the trigger and ready to release the safety catch in case things go south. He is quick to train his own at me, though, and just like that, we're at a standstill.
Now, Feathers. Manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Shooting him right now will be so worth it. With the way he stares at me like I'm a dang pest. But this isn't what I've come here for. I'm not a murderer. As much as I loathe him, I'm not the kind who will kill people in cold blood for my own gain or amusement. The law will bring him what he deserves one of these days. At the moment, however, we're all in the same boat with this curse, and he needs to understand that. The longer we stand here, the more time we're wasting and losing. Something we don't have much of. But how can I convince him? This scumbag is so full of himself. Prefers to hear the sound of his own voice more than those of the people around him. No matter how much sense they make. Probably the only way I can make him listen is if I beg. No way in heck that's happening. Maybe I should eliminate the immediate danger first and disarm him. Beg him to listen or disarm
Beg
him.
him to listen.
I will not be changing.
Okay.
So
But if you do beg, I know it isn't gonna change anything, but if you disarm him, you're still gonna lose heart.
I don't think it matters at this point.
Yeah.
So it will have to be a final answer. I will not change it.
Disarm him. No. Beg him. Beg him.
Okay. My life's not the only one at risk here, however. There's Zach. There's Isabella. McCullough's here as well. We're all unknowing victims to this frickin' curse. I'm in no position to pick who to save and who I should simply let die. I suppose my pride can take a few hits, and I can set aside my beef with this butthole. Taking a deep breath slowly, I lower my pistol. Though still on the edge and at ready, in case he does something, I do my best to assume a less aggressive stance.
Listen, right. I need you to...
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy. Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now. And you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
Suddenly he laughs, almost howling, in fact. Like I've just told him the best joke he's heard all his life. The only thing missing is for him to keel over and start rolling around the floor. All while I do my best not to sock him with the sorry end of my pistol.
You have guts, Feathers. You have guts. Did you hear what you just told me? You've just threatened me inside my own house. My own home. You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
He's right on that, at least. I might have ended up like him if I didn't have Professor Andrew, Rebecca, Zach, and Isabella. One mistake, and it would have been too late for me. With his laughter rings all of those possibilities I could have lived, but have never been given the choice. All because I have other people with me, people who care. A sobering realization. But not so much when suddenly his chuckling stops. In 2 heartbeats, he marches towards me, grabs my collar, and aims his gun right at my head.
Hey, now you two, I'm sure we can all talk about this first.
At this distance, a slight flick of that finger on the trigger will be enough, more than enough, to kill me.
What is it that you people really want with me? This is the 2nd time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game. Did the NCA send you to apprehend me, or has somebody paid you off to kill me? Which one is it, Feathers? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to beat the business end of this gun.
I keep my eyes trained on him, in spite of the huge threat he poses right now. Because if there's anything people like him, like us, prefer, it's honesty. You don't give that impression without keeping a solid eye contact.
I'm not with NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late. If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Why, you insolent!
His finger moves, but I am prepared. My hand ready to reach up, disarm him, and knock him out. If I have to drag him out of this place unconscious, to keep him from suffering the fates of every other person who has died from this curse, so be it. However, before either of us can fire a shot or tackle the other to the ground, another voice echoes throughout the foyer.
Is it her?
A small little thing compared the A small little thing compared the to storm raging outside.
Wait, what?
A small little thing compared the to storm raging outside.
Compared the to storm raging outside. Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Yes. It rings above it, nevertheless, causing all of us to stop and turn. At the top of the staircase, Hannah Wright stands there, pale as death and expression eerily calm. Can't help but think there's something wrong. My gaze darts around, wary of her. But soon enough, I realize what's wrong when she speaks. She's wrong. Death smile upon you.
Oh, Luke, darling, my love. What do you think you're doing out here this late?
Outside, another streak of lightning flashes and a clap of thunder ripples across the sky. As if this whole thing can't get any more foo-bar than it already is.
Oh, god dang it!
Wow. Oh, we're not gonna know. No. That was Ashton's route. And now we are in Luke's. So,
good night.
Next video will be Luke's, the beginning of Luke's route. So, like always, we'll look at the journal and inspect relationships before we start his route. But this is the final chapter, and after that, we're done. But I'm sure there's gonna be lots of videos for Luke. If each chapter gets longer and longer, which it seems like this one might be the longest, but it could be, it might not be, because it is the last route and there are so many choices that is probably going to be unlocked at a succession. So it might not take as long as we think it might be by looking at the branching tree. But I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this one. So we will see you in the beginning of Luke's route. Bye!
Night.